Was there anything in all these years of working with him that would have made you think something like this was possible?
We were co-workers, really. We weren't, never socialized outside of...
Robin Wright, the ethereal beauty from The Princess Bride, the powerhouse behind Claire Underwood in House of Cards, the actress who transformed from fairy tale princess to ruthless political operator. But what if I told you that behind that porcelain perfection and steely determination, Wright harbored some seriously dark grudges against fellow actors? That's right, the woman who seemed to glide effortlessly between romantic leads and complex dramatic roles was actually fighting bitter wars with some of Hollywood's biggest names. From leading men who undermined her on set to fellow actresses who stole her spotlight, from directors' pets who got undeserved praise to the ultimate betrayal that allegedly destroyed her faith in Hollywood partnerships. We're counting down the 6 actors Robin Wright allegedly despised most. And trust me, number 1 involves a co-star betrayal so devastating, it reportedly changed how she approached every future collaboration. This isn't just professional rivalry. We're talking about deep, personal hatred that simmered beneath Hollywood's glamorous surface. Get ready because this princess's grudges are about to get seriously ugly. 6. Kevin Costner. Coming in at number 6, we have Kevin Costner, and this feud was all about ego, screen time, and who really deserved to be Hollywood royalty in the 1990s. The tension between Wright and Costner allegedly started when both were at the peak of their careers during the early 90s. While Wright was establishing herself as a serious dramatic actress with films like Forrest Gump, Costner was dominating the box office with his all-American hero persona in movies like Dances with Wolves and The Bodyguard. Industry insiders claim the bad blood began when both were considered for a romantic drama that eventually went to other actors. During the casting process, Costner allegedly made comments about Wright being too ethereal for mainstream audiences, suggesting that her delicate beauty made her unsuitable for roles requiring emotional weight. But here's where it gets personal. Sources close to Wright reported that she was furious about Costner's perceived dismissal of her dramatic abilities. She allegedly told friends that Costner represented everything wrong with Hollywood's leading man culture, calling him a mediocre actor who gets praised for basic competence because he looks like America's idea of a hero. The rivalry intensified when both were dealing with career transitions in the late 90s. While Costner was struggling with box office failures, Wright was gaining critical acclaim for more challenging roles. Industry sources claim Wright felt vindicated by Costner's declining popularity, allegedly telling industry friends that audiences were finally realizing he was all image, no substance. The most revealing alleged incident occurred at a 1990s awards ceremony where both were presenting. Backstage witnesses claim Wright made pointed comments about actors who mistake wooden delivery for stoic strength, remarks widely interpreted as directed at Costner's performance style. The 5 crony, Demi Moore. At number 5, we have Demi Moore, and this rivalry was about beauty, brains, and who really deserved to be taken seriously as a dramatic actress in the 1990s. The bad blood allegedly started when both Wright and Moore were being positioned as the next generation of serious dramatic actresses following their earlier work in more commercial films. But while Wright was focusing on character-driven independent films, Moore was commanding huge salaries for mainstream blockbusters. Industry sources claim Wright resented Moore's ability to leverage her beauty and celebrity status into unprecedented pay deals, particularly her record-breaking salary for striptease. Wright allegedly felt that Moore was setting a dangerous precedent by prioritizing money over artistic credibility. But here's what made this personal. The tension escalated when both actresses were competing for similar roles that required both beauty and dramatic depth. Casting directors reportedly played them against each other, and Wright allegedly became frustrated when Moore would get roles based on her higher profile rather than her acting ability. The rivalry intensified during Moore's highly publicized relationship with Bruce Willis and subsequent marriage drama. Sources close to Wright claim she felt that Moore was using personal publicity to maintain career relevance, telling friends that Moore had turned her private life into a marketing strategy. Figure 4, Meg Ryan. Number 4 brings us to Meg Ryan, and this feud was about authenticity versus manufactured charm in the most brutal way possible. The tension between Wright and Ryan allegedly started during the height of Ryan's romantic comedy dominance in the late 1980s and early 1990s. While Wright was pursuing more serious dramatic roles, Ryan was becoming America's sweetheart through films like When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle. Industry sources claim Wright felt that Ryan's success was built on a carefully constructed persona rather than genuine acting ability. She allegedly told friends that Ryan had created a fake quirky girl character that bore no resemblance to her real personality, and that audiences were being manipulated by this manufactured charm. But here's where it gets really personal. The rivalry intensified when both actresses were considered for roles that required balancing comedy and drama. Casting directors reportedly favored Ryan for her likability factor, while Wright was often seen as too serious or intense for lighter material. The breaking point supposedly came when Ryan made comments in interviews about how successful actresses needed to be relatable to audiences. Wright allegedly took this as a direct criticism of her own more reserved public persona and her preference for challenging, less accessible roles. The most revealing alleged incident occurred during a script reading for a project that both actresses were considering. Witnesses claim Wright made pointed observations about performers who mistake mannerisms for character development, comments that many interpreted as directed at Ryan's signature acting style. Number 3, Julia Roberts. At number 3, we have Julia Roberts, and this rivalry was about who really deserved to be considered Hollywood's premier leading lady. The bad blood allegedly started when both Wright and Roberts emerged as major stars around the same time, but with very different trajectories. While Roberts exploded into megastardom with Pretty Woman, Wright was building a more gradual reputation through diverse, challenging roles. Industry insiders claim Wright resented the way Roberts was immediately catapulted to A-list status based on one romantic comedy, while she had been working steadily for years without receiving the same level of recognition or compensation. Sources close to Wright reported that she felt Roberts' success was lottery luck rather than earned achievement. But here's what made this rivalry particularly bitter. Both actresses were often competing for the same high-profile dramatic roles throughout the 1990s. Casting directors would frequently choose Roberts based on her box office appeal, leaving Wright feeling that talent was being overshadowed by commercial considerations. The tension escalated when Roberts began receiving critical acclaim for dramatic performances in films like Erin Brockovich. Wright allegedly felt that Roberts was getting praise for basic dramatic work, while her own more nuanced performances in smaller films were being overlooked by critics and audiences. The breaking point supposedly came when Roberts made comments about how successful actresses needed to connect with real people, rather than just critics and industry insiders. Wright allegedly interpreted this as a dismissal of her own artistic choices and told friends that Roberts was pandering to the lowest common denominator. Darsha 2, Gwyneth Paltrow. At number 2, we have Gwyneth Paltrow, and this feud was about privilege, pretension, and who really earned their place in Hollywood's elite circle. The rivalry allegedly started when both Wright and Paltrow were being positioned as the next generation of serious dramatic actresses in the mid-1990s. But while Wright had worked her way up through television and smaller films, Paltrow seemed to have a fast track to prestige projects through her family connections and high-profile relationships. Industry sources claim Wright was particularly resentful of Paltrow's seemingly effortless access to top-tier directors and prestigious roles. She allegedly told friends that Paltrow represented everything wrong with Hollywood nepotism, calling her a rich girl playing dress-up in serious actress clothes. But here's where it gets really ugly. The tension escalated when Paltrow won the Academy Award for Shakespeare in Love in 1999. Wright allegedly felt that Paltrow's victory was the result of aggressive campaigning and industry politics rather than superior performance, and that more deserving actresses had been overlooked. The rivalry intensified when Paltrow began making public statements about her lifestyle choices, wellness philosophy, and approach to balancing career and family. Sources close to Wright claim she found Paltrow's public persona insufferably pretentious, telling industry friends that Paltrow was lecturing working mothers from her ivory tower of privilege. The breaking point supposedly came when Paltrow made comments about how successful actresses needed to maintain high standards in their project choices. Wright allegedly interpreted this as a criticism of actors who took roles for financial rather than artistic reasons. 1. Kevin Spacy.
Was there anything in all these years of working with him that would have made you think something like this was possible?
We were co-workers, really. We weren't, never socialized outside of work. Disrespectful to me. So that's my personal experience. That's the only thing I feel.
But the actor Robin Wright hated most was Kevin Spacey, and this betrayal was the most devastating because it destroyed both a professional partnership and Wright's faith in collaborative artistry. This is the shocker that changes everything we thought we knew about the acclaimed political drama series. While audiences saw Frank and Claire Underwood as a perfectly matched power couple, behind the scenes, Wright and Spacey allegedly engaged in a bitter war for creative control and screen time that poisoned the entire production. The hatred allegedly started during the early seasons, when Wright began to realize that her character Claire was being written as secondary to Spacey's Frank, despite her equal billing and supposedly equal importance to the show's central narrative. Industry sources claim Wright felt that Spacey was using his executive producer status to diminish her role and maximize his own screen time. But here's where it gets really dark. Sources close to the production reported that Spacey would allegedly undermine Wright's creative input during script meetings, dismiss her character development suggestions, and lobby writers to reduce Claire's storylines in favor of expanding Frank's political machinations. The breaking point supposedly came when Wright discovered that Spacey was being paid significantly more than she was, despite their equal billing and her increasingly central role in the show's success. When she demanded pay equity, Spacey allegedly tried to block her salary increase, arguing that Frank Underwood was the show's true protagonist. The most devastating alleged betrayal involves Spacey's attempts to restructure the show's narrative focus during later seasons. Industry insiders claim he lobbied Netflix executives to reduce Wright's role while positioning himself as the series' irreplaceable centerpiece, essentially trying to write her out of her own show. So there you have it. Robin Wright's Hollywood journey came with brutal rivalries and devastating betrayals. From leading man dismissals to co-star power plays, Wright fought battles that nobody saw coming. Which feud shocked you most? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes Hollywood drama.